Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you. And now I'm going to take the lead on the next song, and there's a clue, as at least to the writer of the next song in our background. This is a very old postcard showing Robert Burns and a few scenes that were important to his life. And I'm going to sing a Burns song now, but not one of his more popular songs. It's a sort of lesser known song, but one that I really love to sing. It has quite a simple story, but unusual, because the subject of this story is a woman who singing in praise of her husband.
Woohoo!
Now, the ploughman, the song's called The Ploughman, and the ploughman's wife wants her husband to come home at the end of the day, take off his wet clothes, put on dry things.
Sounds
she
good.
wants to cook for him and clean for him, and she wants him to go off up to his bed, where she is going to cheer him late in the day and early in the day, which by my reckoning is twice in one day.
Woohoo!
So we think that this song comes from fairly early in the marriage.
Definitely.
And it's called The Ploughman. Ploughman, he's a bonny lad, his mind is ever true, Joe. His garter's knit below his knee, his bonnet it is blue, Joe. Then up wi' tall, my ploughman lad, hey, my merry ploughman. Of all the trades that I do ken, commend me to the ploughman. The ploughman, he comes hame at e'en. He's often wet and weary, cast off the wheat, put on the dry, and gang to bed, my dearie. Then up wi' tall, my ploughman lad, hey, my merry ploughman. Of all the trades that I do ken, commend me to the ploughman. And I will wash my ploughman's place, I will dress his orley, I will mark my ploughman's bed and cheer him late and early. Then up wi' tall, my ploughman lad, hey, my merry ploughman. Of all the trades that I do ken, commend me to the ploughman. I hae been east, I hae been west, I hae been at St. Johnston, but the bonniest sight that e'er I saw was the ploughman laddie dancing. Snow white stockings on his legs, silver buckles glancing, a good blue bonnet on his head, and oh, but he was handsome. Then up wi' tall, my ploughman lad, hey, my merry ploughman. Of all the trades that I do ken, commend me to the ploughman. Commend me to the barnyard and the corn moo man. I never gasped my coggy food till I met with the ploughman. Then up wi' tall, my ploughman lad, hey, my merry ploughman. Of all the trades that I do ken, commend me to the ploughman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, folks. Well, this next song has a very strong Robert Burns connection because it's a song based on a melody written by one of his pals, one of his friends, a man called Neil Gow. And Neil Gow was the finest fiddler and composer of that era. And Robert Burns actually set many of his tunes into songs. Robert Burns was primarily a lyricist. He used to grab good tunes and write words to them, including, if you look behind my head, you'll see the Brig of Doon. And there's a very famous song, Ye banks and braes o' bonny Doon, how can ye bloom sae fresh and fair? Well, that's actually a Neil Gow tune called The Caledonian Hunt's Delight. And Rabbie thought, oh, I like that one, I'll grab that one. So he went away and he wrote some words to it. But the tune that I'm going to use is called Neil Gow's Lament on the Death of His Second Wife. And for a lot of people, it's their favourite Scottish slow air. Now, Neil Gow lived just sort of upstream from where we live in Perth, at a place called Dunkeld. And we're going to do this song, which is called Fiddle and Bow. I wrote the words to this. And we're going to play a selection of slides of that area that show you all the places that Neil Gow lived, where he used to sit beneath a great oak tree and practice his fiddle beside the river, where he went to church and where he was buried, and just some beautiful views of the scenery round there. So here we go.
It looks like the host has disabled screen sharing. Tim, is it possible for you to allow us to screen share?
Here we go.
Thank you.
Ben my house in the nook where the bran is the tay, among Burnham's great oaks on a long summer's day, while salmon lie still in Waterby. Lo, I will mind on your tune as I ticht in my bow, as the hair feels a string and the sound starts to swell. A peal softly rings for the bell o' Dunkeld, and it brings harmony to the air that I play, that I wrote on the day you were taken away. All around me is beauty, bright bird song and plenty, a dram of good whiskey by a warm fire's glow. Scarlet fruit fill the gila tree, but nae joy comes to me, for you and me, Maggie, were fiddle and bow. Like the fish in the bran that are suddenly gone when a shadow casts o'er their watery home, as the swallows whole flock all at once disappear when they sense summer's o'er and cold winter draws near. Like the notes of a reel as they bound round the hall, they can't linger long and eventually fall. But this air I have penned to remind me, my dear, though it can't match your grace, it will I be here. All around me is beauty, bright bird song and plenty, a dram of good whiskey by a warm fire's glow. Scarlet fruit fill the gila tree, but nae joy comes to me, for you and me, Maggie, were fiddle and bow. Thank you. Very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Just before I stop share, look at those lovely socks that Neil and David Gow have. They're lovely, what do you call it, paisley?
Argyle.
Argyle. Yes,
Yes.
of course.
Well, folks, we are going to put up another backdrop for you here. And this is for, we thought we'd do a Halloween song for you. Because it actually is Halloween here, isn't it?
Yes,
Yes, just Halloween.
Yeah.
And yes, this is a song, a very supernatural song called The Twa Sisters, or it's also known as The Cruel Sister. And there's a wonderful representation of it. Now, folks, there are two sisters, and they're both being wooed by the same knight. Woo! Which makes it a Halloween song. Anyway, now, the younger sister is blonde and therefore good and kindly, and the elder sister is dark-haired and so therefore evil and bad. Don't you just love stereotypes? You know where you are with a good stereotype, folks. You really do. Anyway, now it's the younger one who's making most of the headway with this knight. So the older sister takes direct action, and she decides to invite the younger sister for a walk out along the windy cliffs by the sea, by the North Sea. And as they're walking along, the older sister pushes the younger girl over, and she falls into the sea, and she drowns. And her body is swept out to sea. But then it's swept in again, sort of round the headland. And there are two out-of-work musicians walking along the beach. And they're really, it's not just coronavirus that's been bad for musicians. There's been out-of-work musicians for a long time, folks. Not only this, they've had to sell their instruments. They're so skint, right? So they see this body lying on the beach, and they take it back to their hovel, which is where musicians like us live. We all live in hovels, yeah. And they make a musical instrument out of her. They make a sort of harp out of her breastbone and stuff. Now, folks, let me tell you, making musical instruments out of human body parts, it's a dying art. It really is. I mean, the paperwork involved is enormous. It's political correctness gone mad, But anyway, now, folks, their luck has really turned. Now they've got an instrument. Woohoo! Then they get a gig. They get a gig, yes, because they have to go and play at the girl's father's hall because the older sister is getting married. So they take up this harp, this very strange-looking harp, and they place it on this stone right in the middle of the hall with all the guests there, and it begins to play on its own, and it goes, whoa, whoa, the younger sister, she is drowned. And it completely ruins the wedding. It absolutely kills it stone dead, which we think is really very selfish, actually, yes.
I mean, she was dead anyway. Did you have to go and spoil the wedding?
What about these poor musicians? I mean, do you think they were going to get paid after all that? Do you think so? No. Anyway, folks, this is a song. It's got a great chorus, and the chorus actually comes in two parts. The first bit goes, lay the bairn tail the bonny broom. And then the second bit goes, fa na 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 na. Not to be confused with na 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 na. Hey Jude, Jude. So not to be confused, I said, okay? So here we go.
By the North Sea shore, lay the bairn tae the bonny broom. 'Twas 4 daughters were the bairns she bore. Fa-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. One was as bright as is the sun. Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, so coal black grew the elder one. Fa-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. A knight came riding to the lady's door. Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, he travelled far to be their wooer. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. He courted one there with gloves and rings. Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, but he loved the other above all things. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Sister, sister, won't you walk with me? Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, to see the ships sail upon the sea. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And as they stood on that windy shore, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, the elder sister pushed the younger oar. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Sometimes she sank or sometimes she swam. Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, crying, sister, reach to me your hand. Fa-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. And there she floated just like a swan. Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, the salt sea carried her body on. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Two minstrels walking by the North Sea strand, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, they saw the maiden float to land. Fa-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. They made a harp out of her breastbone, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, the sound of which would melt a heart of stone. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. They took 3 locks of her yellow hair, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, on which they strung that harp so rare. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. They took it up into her father's hall, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, to play the harp there before them all. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. Place the harp there upon a stone, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, and it began to play alone. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. The first string that those minstrels tried, lay the bairn to the bonny broom, then terror seized the black-haired bride. Na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. The second string made a doleful sound, lay the bairn the bonny broom. The younger sister, oh, she is drowned. Ah, na 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 na. The third string it played beneath their bow. Lay the bairn to the bonny broom, and surely now her tears will flow. Fa na 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 na. Fa na 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 na. Fa na 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 na.
Thank you.
Thank you. That is no way to treat your sister, is it?
Right, folks. Now, something strange and unusual has been happening in Scotland over the last few weeks. The Scottish soccer team has been winning matches. And we're in a state of shock. We keep beating people, and we just don't really know how to react. We're so used to sort of losing and stuff. We're going to do a song, another song that I wrote around a very, very special tune. And the tune is always played before Scotland have an international soccer match. It's one of the top 10 hits of the bagpipes, and it's called Lochenside. And a lochen is a small loch, and there's a lovely loch for you there. Yes, that's it, Loch Leven. There's a song about that goes, Loch Leven on a jet plane. Anyway, Lochenside, yes, wonderful three-part bagpipe tune. And it's always, if you go to Highland Games anywhere in America, you hear it's very popular in America. I heard it played 23 times at the Grandfather Mountain Highland Games in North Carolina. So yeah, it was a competition piece and all the bands were playing it. It's really about the changing of the seasons round a lochen, or a little loch. And it starts off, come the winter cold and dreary. And that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
Autumn has been shit, really.
It's been a washout.
Shotum is what we're calling it, yeah. And then winter will be shit, so it'll be shinter. So it'll be shotum and then shinter that we'll be having. So anyway, come the winter cold and dreary. Winter cold and dreary brings a hawk down frae the high scree tae the wind, where snowy hairs hide around the Lochenside. Come the spring, the land lies weary till the sun shines. It's a cheery, brings a bloom for our June's pride around the Lochenside. Had you been yet to see the scattered, oh, the peasies or the macken, when I burn the tawny old whites around the Lochenside. And the heron he comes a creeping through the rashes, so green and dreeping to the pool, while he through it slide around the Lochenside. Aye, if you ever had reason to be hearing on his season, come and try the barley brewing by the fire on Lochenside. Summertime, the fish are louping, the birds in, the bunnies cowping, swallows flee down to lean tide around the Lochenside. By the autumn, the pinks are winging, blaeberries are the moon oars are hanging salmon through the surging spade fight in the Lochenside. Had you been yet seen the scatter o' the peasies or the maca when aboon the tawny glides in the Lochenside? Under heron he comes a-creeping through the rashes so green and dreeping to the pool while he trood slide in the Lochenside. If you ever hear reason to be hearing honey season, come and try the barley breahin' by the fire on Lochenside. If you ever hear a notion to be welcomed with devotion, travel home or on the ocean to be here on Lochenside. Lochenside. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, I'm changing the background now to show a picture of some fish gutters. I was quite delighted to find out about 6 weeks ago that my great-grandmother was a fish gutter. And I say that I'm proud of that because they were quite a formidable group of women. Women that could work a long, hard day after day, week after week, month after month. Because the herring season started in April up in the Shetland Islands, which are the most northerly of Scotland's islands. And there was a group of professional women would just keep moving south with the shoals of herring, and they would finish in December on the south coast of England. So it was a fairly major job and a tough breed. So I like to think my great-granny was one of them. And in fact, she met her husband, who was a fisherman, from about 150 miles south of where she was brought up while she was working in the trade. And these women could gut 60 to 80 fish per minute.
A minute?
Per minute, yeah. Extremely hard work on the hands, so their hands would be bound with rags to try and protect them as best they could. Anyway, I'm going to sing a Ewan MacColl song about the fish gutting, and it is a very gutsy song. It's quite a nice one to sing, and it's called the Fish Gutter Song. Come, all ye fisher lassies, it's come awa wi me, fi Cairnbog and Kenley and fi Inverallachie, fi Buckie and fi Aberdeen and all the country round. We're a watty gut the heron, we're a watty and a tune. You rise up in the morning with your bundles in your hand, be at the station early or you'll surely hate to stand. Tak plenty to eat and a kettle for your tea, or you'll maybe die of hunger on the way to Yarmouth Quay. The journey it's a longing, it takes a day or twa, and when you reach your lodgings, it's soon to sleep you'll fall, and you'll rise at 5 with sleep still in your ear. You're a want to find the cotton yards along the Yarmouth Quay. Coopers there and curers there and buyers canny chills, and lassies at the pickling and others at the creels, and you'll wish the fish had been all left in the sea by the time you finish gutting herring on the Yarmouth Quay. It's early in the morning, it's late into the night. Your hands are cut and chopped and they look on and intersect. And you'll greet like a wave when you put them in the bray. And you'll wish you were 1,000 mile off the Yarmouth Quay. Gutted fish in Lerwick and Stornoway and Shields, worked along the Humber amongst the barrels and the creels. Whitby, Grimsby, we've travelled up and down, but the place to see the herring is the quay at Yarmouth Town. The place to see the herring is the quay at Yarmouth Town. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zoomers.
Thanks very much. Well, folks, Susie's going to put up a background for you with something that I think will interest you. It's something that's fundamentally different. But that's not the one, Susie. We're going to do the other one, are we not? It's because of the special day.
Yes.
Yes. We are going to put up a picture of what we use for vegetables, for our vegetables at Halloween. Now, you folks have your wonderful pumpkins, but this is what traditionally in Scotland we have made lanterns out of. You can see there's quite a nice collection of them there. Large turnips, ones about the size of your head. Now, they look great, but they're really difficult to carve out. They're solid, really, really hard inside, and you kind of have to use a knife, and it's very difficult to sort of like scoop it out and cut it out. And the emergency rooms in Scotland are full of young dads, you know, getting their fingers stitched back on sort of in the days running up to Halloween. So actually power tools is what you really need to hollow these things out.
That is cheating. That is cheating. We used to start carving out our neeps, turnips, I would say, about 5 days or so before Halloween, because that's how long it took. And it would be what you did in the evening after school for a few days leading up to Halloween. But we quite liked eating the neeps as well. Quite surprisingly good raw.
Yes.
But anyway, very
yes.
dangerous on the fingers. That is true.
Now, folks, we're going to do a song called Halloween. And different songs are very seasonal in Scotland, and I always really look forward to Halloween because I love this song. It's one of the most beautifully written songs. It started off as a poem by a lady called Violet Jacob. She wrote this over 100 years ago, and she wrote lots and lots of lovely poems that later were turned into songs by a great hero of mine called Jim Reid. He was my great hero when I was sort of just getting involved in folk music. And Violet Jacob wrote this song primarily about her son. Her son Lachlan was killed on Halloween in 1915 on the Western Front in the First World War. And the whole point of Halloween is that it's supposed to be the one time of the year that you can sort of reach across the ether and sort of connect with someone who has passed over to the other side. So she's stretching out her hand to her lost son. And it's one of the most beautifully written piece of Scots language. So it's quite difficult for you to follow, folks, but let me assure you, it's beautifully written. Tatty liftins nearly through the plewing while the barley grew, and after dark round Elkerstag you'll hear the horsemen stand and crack. Oh, Lachlan, but I mind on you. I'm mindful often we seen 10 1,000 stars kicking atween
the naked branches and below, baith farm and bothy, hey there show. Hello, Alex, oh Halloween.
There's bairns with gizzards at their tail, clearing the doors we run so kail, and fine you'll hear their screeching scuttles, oh lassies with their crooked curls, bobbing for apples in the pail. The bothy fire is louping heads, the new heath horseman's kiss to set,
Wrecked all the long war by the blaze, the audience stood there, kept your clays. I canna thought to see it yet.
Again the old folks' tales are recht, and ghosts flee hame on Hallows Necht. Oh friends, what would I gie to feel your axe, your hand to me, atween the dark and the cornel lecht. A wahin France across the wave, the wee lechs burn on ilka grave, and you and me there low he seen, you'll maybe hear Halloween, yon twa you're lying with her lave. There's drinking, daft and sang and dance, and ploys and kisses get their chance, but Lachlan, man, the place I see is where the old Christ used to be, and the Lech's o' Halloween in France. Halloween. Thank you very much. Cheers.
We're going to come to the oldest song in our set this evening. Actually, the Cruel Sister might well be of a similar age, but the song I'm going to sing next is called Farewell to Stromness, and it is thought to be about 400 years old. So that is quite impressive. Everything in Orkney seems to be really old. We've been there lots of times, and if you ever get the chance, grab it. It's an amazing place, full of archaeological treasures, huge stone circles, burial mounds, and also a little village where you can look down and see how people were living 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. It's an astonishing place. It also is very famous and has a strong maritime history. And Stromness, which is the subject, the town in this song, is the second biggest town in the Orkney Islands, but very famous because it was the last place that big ships could take on fresh water before going on major expeditions across the Atlantic and up to the northern
Yes,
waters.
and including Franklin's expedition to find the Northwest Passage, they stopped off in Stromness and filled up their tanks. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as there are lots of sailors coming and going, there are lots and lots of pubs in Stromness, which also makes it a good place to visit. And this song was sung by and to sailors who were about to go off on long, dangerous and unknowable expeditions. And while I'm singing this song, I'm going to show you a slideshow of pictures from the Orkney Islands. So Hope you'll enjoy this. Farewell to Stromness. Come, come, my kind comrades, once more let us join. Once more your fine voices in chorus with mine. Let us drink and be merry, from all sorrow refrain. For we ever or never may we all meet again. The time is advancing when I must away. I bid you farewell for many long days. Likewise, pretty fair maids of every degree. Long in vain will I wish for your kind company. So farewell to Stromness, since I must away. I leave my best wishes to one who there stays. May fortune protect her and with her remain. May she never want a friend till I see her again. So adieu to all pleasure, adieu for a while. When the winter is over, sweet summer will smile. Wherever I wander, by the land or by sea, I will always remember your kind company. The mountains and valleys of Orkney farewell. If ever I return again, there's no one can tell. And you pretty fair maids who happy live here, while away on the ocean my course I must steer. So farewell to Stromness, I must away. I bid you a farewell for many long days. May fortune protect her that's loyal and true. Here's a health, peace and plenty, farewell and adieu. So farewell to Stromness, since I must away. So farewell to Stromness. So farewell to Stromness.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The time is running away with us here, and we've come to our last song, I'm sorry to say. But at least it's a really lovely one. We're going to sing Jock o' Hazeldean for you.
Oh yes, folks. Now this is a very amazing old building here called Smailholm Tower, and it's right in the border between Scotland and England, and it was a place where you wanted to live if you were in these parts, because, excuse me, the border between Scotland and England was a very lawless place. And, sorry, I've got a Halloween frog in my throat here. It was a very lawless place, so you wanted to live somewhere very secure and somewhere you could look after your animals. And there was a wall sort of round the bottom of that tower to keep all the cattle. Now, Sir Walter Scott grew up partly actually staying there. His family actually owned the farm, his grandparents, and this is where he sort of learned all his sort of Scottish folklore and history and about all the reavers, the cattle thieves and the armies that trudged back and forward over the border. And it sent him on this amazing journey, really literature journey, when he discovered all these incredible songs that people had written about Scotland, and then wrote all these wonderful novels that inspired a whole century, really, of people interested in Scotland. We're going to do one of his songs, though. He wrote some lovely songs. This one's called Jock Hazeldean, and it's about a young lady who is betrothed, an English lady betrothed to an English gentleman, but she actually fancies this guy from across the border in Scotland called Jock Hazeldean, because he's got the most fabulous knees. You know, the kilt and the knees. That's what it's all about, ladies, the kilt and the knees. And anyway, the big day comes, the wedding comes, and all the families are there and the priest's there, but she's gone. She's eloped. She's run across the border to be with Jock Hazeldean and his fabulous knees. So this is the song for you, bud. Why weep ye by the tide, lady? Why weep ye by the tide? I'll want you take my youngest son, and ye shall be his bride, and ye shall be his bride, lady. Comely to be seen, but she looked, the tears did fall for Jock Hazeldean. Now let this willful grief be done, and dry these cheeks so pale. Young Frank is chief of Earthington, and Lord Ould Lang Syne. Step is first in peaceful heart, sword in battle keen. But she looked, the tears did fall for Jock Hazeldean. A coat of gold ye shall not lack, nor braid to bind your hair, nor mettled hound, nor managed hawk, nor palfrey flesh and fair. And ye the foremost on a march shall ride our forest queen. But she looked, the tears did fall for Jock Hazeldean. morning tide, the tapers glimmered fair. The priest and bridegroom weighed the bride, and dame and knight were there. They searched for her by bower and hall, the lady wasna seen. She's o'er the border and awa' wi' Jock o' Hazeldean. She's o'er the border and awa' wi' Jock o' Hazeldean.
Thank you very much indeed
Thank
to
you.
Two-Way Street Coffee House. We were sorry we couldn't come this month, but it's been great to join
Thank
you
you, yes.
online.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thank you, Jim and Susie. It was wonderful as always.
Thank you.
Absolutely
Thank you.
amazing. Thank you so much for playing for us tonight, and thank you to everybody for tuning in. Please remember to donate at www.twowaystreet.org.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was just such a wonderful show. Just what we needed. I'm sure all our fans on YouTube and Facebook and on the Zoom call would agree that just it was
Right?
beautiful.
It was
Thank you so much.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Thanks for the
Thank
Halloween
you.
beats too. So like the Halloween songs.
So how about one more? Do you have one more that you could play for us?
Oh, there's always one more.
There's always one more,
it's like
yes.
2 in the morning in Scotland, but
Right.
if you would play one more, I'm sure all the fans would love it.
We'd be delighted, and thank you very much for supporting us, folks. We really appreciate it. It's been a difficult year for musicians, but the fact that we know that you folks are there, and on Zoom we can see you, it really, really helps. So, and we're going to finish off with a song called Auld Lang Syne, and because it's a great way to finish any Scottish occasion, really. And we're going to do the old melody, which is the one that the words were written to. Burns saw this old fellow playing this wonderful slow air in a bar in Kilmarnock. And tunes weren't written down in those days, so he was worried that this tune would just disappear when the old man expired. So he whipped out his parchment and his quill and he wrote down the notes, and then penned "Should Old Acquaintance Be Forgot." The tune that you folks do at New Year is a newer tune, also a great tune. Much more strident, much more Happy New Year! And we'll do a little bit of that at the end as well, just to sort of give you some closure. Okay.
And behind us, that's the cottage that Robert Burns was born into. Quite a humble beginning he had.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and Auld Lang Syne? For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne.
And surely you'll be your pints too, and surely I'll be mine, and we'll take a recht good willie wacht for Auld Lang Syne.
For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne. We twa here and but the braes and put the gowans fine. But we've wandered, money's a weary fit, sin Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne.
We twain paddled in the burn, fae morning sun till dine, but the seas between us braid he roared, sin Auld Lang Syne.
For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne. So here's a hand, my trusty fear, and he's a hand o' thine. We'll take a cup of kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne. For Auld Lang Syne, my Joe, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet, for Auld Lang Syne.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim and Susie. Thank you for everybody for attending 2A Street tonight. Next week will be Heather Syka and the beginning of our virtual 50th anniversary celebration. You won't want to miss it. Look forward to all the posts and available information out there. Please like our pages and all that. We really want to say thank you to Tim Kendall, our virtual tech tonight. You didn't see him on screen, but he was in the background.
Working to make sure, that everything went live, and he's constantly really coming through and doing all the really hard work behind the scenes. So thank you to Tim.
And check out their new album Berries. If you haven't listened to it, it's on the streaming services. You can buy it. It's wonderful music. And thank you so much. And good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Night.
Cheers. Cheerio.
Night. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.